We name a specific type of psychological overcompensation after the famously short French emperor, the Napoleon complex. We also take it for granted that Anders Celsius invented the temperature scale used by billions, the one where water freezes at 0 and boils at a clean 100. But inside an 18th century lab, the emperor would actually look down at the average man. And that thermometer on the wall? The red liquid would rush toward the floor as the heat increased. Both of these foundational facts, the short emperor and the intuitive temperature scale, are entirely false. We believe them because history is rarely recorded accurately by the people who live it. Instead, it is edited, tweaked, and carved up by the people who survive them. In 1742, Swedish astronomer Anders Celsius proposed a new standard for measuring heat to the Swedish Academy. His original logic was the exact inverse of our own. He designated 0 as the boiling point of water and assigned 100 to the point of freezing. Celsius died of tuberculosis just 2 years later at the age of 42, leaving his reversed scale as his primary legacy. His friend, the botanist Carl Linnaeus, immediately realized the scale was counterintuitive. Right after Celsius's death, Linnaeus flipped the scale to place the low numbers at the cold end and the high numbers at the hot end. While Celsius gets the credit on every modern weather report, the numerical reality we live by was actually the posthumous correction of Linnaeus. A similar posthumous rewrite happened to Napoleon Bonaparte. During his autopsy, a French doctor officially recorded the emperor's height as 5 feet 2 inches. Those 18th century French inches were physically longer than the English inches used by his enemies across the Channel. As this corrected data shows, in the modern Anglo system, Napoleon stood 5 feet 6 inches, taller than the average 165-centimeter French man of his era. British propaganda weaponized this measurement gap. They took his nickname, Le Petit Caporal, and stripped it of its affection, using cartoons like this to convince their troops that the little bony was too small to be feared. Napoleon exacerbated the myth by surrounding himself with elite imperial guards. Because these men were chosen for their towering height, the emperor looked diminutive by comparison. A failure to convert simple units, paired with a targeted smear campaign, successfully overwrote the physical reality of the most powerful man in Europe. The dismantling of Napoleon's legacy eventually moved from his reputation to his physical body. The same doctor who botched the height measurement also removed a highly personal 4-centimeter artifact, Napoleon's penis. The doctor gave the artifact to the priest who administered Napoleon's last rites. For the next century, the artifact traveled from the priest's family to a London bookseller before eventually being sold at an American auction in 1977. Purchased by a New Jersey urologist, the emperor's remains were shoved into a leather suitcase and kept under a bed for 30 years. Despite commanding vast armies and empires, Napoleon's physical legacy was ultimately dictated by an incompetent autopsy doctor and a random urologist. Centuries later, these historical revisions remain deeply embedded in our daily language and scientific standards. Therapists still diagnose insecure men with a Napoleon complex, even though the condition is named after a man of above-average stature. Even the clean, flipped scale we attribute to Celsius has been technically discarded by the scientific community. Since 1954, global standards have tethered Celsius to the Kelvin scale. As this digital readout shows, water no longer freezes at a clean 0 or boils at a clean 100. It freezes at 0.000089 and boils at 99.9893. The historical truths we rely on are actually just a centuries-long game of telephone, built on shifting measurements, propaganda, and the edits made by the people who get the last word.